is not the way the heart is designed. Actually, the blood comes out up here in the back. I'm going to do this in black. Up here in the back, there's a set of blood vessels leading away to the lungs. So they're right here. So this blood pumps up and it goes along the back side of the heart and comes out here. And so this blood is traveling to the lungs. So I'm just going to write it down here, to the lungs in black. Holy cow. Huh. Assuming I can spell. So lungs. And it spends very little time in the lungs. Remember, the lungs are very close by, which is handy. And so when it comes back from the lungs, it comes in, and now I'm going to draw this in red, from the lungs. And now this blood has tons of oxygen. It's picked up a whole bunch of oxygen in the lungs. It's dropped off its carbon dioxide, and it's going to pour into the left atria. As the left atria fills up, then the bicuspid or the mitral valve opens, blood pours down into the, goodness gracious, pours down into the left ventricle. When the left ventricle is full, then, let me get a new color here, I'm going to use green. When the left ventricle is full, then this blood gets pumped, and again, when the blood in the bottom of the heart is pumped, it goes up the backside of the heart and out these gigantic, huge vessels. And in this case, the gigantic, huge vessel that takes blood to the body is called the aorta. And so all of that blood is going to the body. So you can see that the blood moves, all the blood in your body moves through the heart 2 times, which is really interesting. That's one reason why this heart is called a double pump or a double loop, because it loops through the right side, goes to the lungs, loops through the left side, goes to the body, and it continues on doing that all the time, hundreds and millions of times over the course of your life. One part that I didn't discuss in that last little bit is how blood gets to the heart itself. There are tiny little arteries and veins in the heart muscle. So when the aorta, which you can see up here, this is the, let me switch my color. This is the aorta. The aorta branches off into some smaller tiny vessels. So as it's taking oxygen-rich blood to the body, it also delivers oxygen-rich blood to the heart itself in little vessels called coronary arteries. And then there are coronary veins as well, which are responsible for returning the blood back to the heart itself. Okay, this is the last little bit of information for this topic. One thing that's important to remember, we're going to talk a lot more about these vessels, but we've kind of been using the term artery and veins without a whole lot of explanation. So arteries and veins are like the roads that deliver things throughout a city. In your body, the arteries and the veins are the roads that deliver blood to and from the heart and to and from the body's tissues. Arteries always take blood away from the heart. I remember this because A&A, arteries away. They have generally oxygen-rich blood, and they are moving away toward the body or toward the lungs. They branch into tinier vessels called arterioles. So it just means smaller artery. So if you think of a big highway, and then that branches down into smaller kind of city roads. And then the arterioles then branch into teeny tiny little structures that are just 1 cell thick and have super thin, very, very, very permeable walls called capillaries. And so the capillaries would be like little alleyways or tiny little roads in maybe your neighborhood, roads that are just 1 car wide. And so those capillaries are usually found in fingertips and the tips of your nose and places far, far, far away from the heart that need very direct contact with the blood. So they need to be able to get oxygen from the blood and to give carbon dioxide back pretty quickly. The capillaries eventually branch into, they dump into larger structures called venules, which again are like the bigger city streets. Now we've lost the oxygen, so I'm showing that by switching to blue. And then the venules pour into bigger vessels called veins, which are responsible for returning the blood back to the heart. So again, we have big highway, smaller surface roads, teeny tiny little back roads, which lead into bigger surface roads, and then back to big highways and return to the heart. This same kind of pattern is shown here, the movement of the heart, and we usually use red and blue, so that keeps it consistent. So if you would please write 3 questions for clarification. Let's try and keep them on topic as much as possible. They should relate to this branch of material. And write a summary, and I will see you in class. Thank you.